Hey there and welcome members and fellow traders. This is Sunday, November 30th, 2014. My name is Brent Burcham with myfundingroom.com. So in this Forex trading strategies video, there's two charts that I want to cover with you. One is going to be the Aussie US dollar and the other is the Euro US dollar. And I think this upcoming week of December, which of course is going to be the first week of December, will ultimately determine if the US dollar will continue to gain strength or if it's going to start to lose traction and begin to reverse. Now, just so that everybody knows, I don't see any reason for the US dollar strength to end, but I also don't know, what global or unforeseen economic events are taking shape. And that's mainly due because on Thanksgiving, my daughter, she had hid my crystal ball, and so now I can't find it. But I did ground her for that. No, I'm just kidding. She didn't really take my crystal ball. She actually doesn't believe that I have one, which is pretty funny because I still have her believing in the tooth fairy. So anyways, before my tangent, I was saying, here's why I'm looking at this upcoming week to determine whether we continue to stay long the US dollar or if we start to look at shorting opportunities for the US dollar in the near future. Now, since we all know that the first week of every month is when the most significant news announcements come out, and good thing we also know that news will ultimately drive price in the direction of the prevailing trend. So as this week unfolds, we'll find out if the fundamentals match up with the technicals that we're looking at on the charts. Now, hopefully they will, because if they do match up, then that means that there's lots of money in our pockets. And we all love lots of money. So let's take a look at the technicals and let's see what the technicals are telling us, or at least telling me. I can't really say what the technicals are telling you because I'm not you, I'm me. Now for starters, let's cover the Euro US dollar. On the weekly chart of the Euro, I can see a few things happening. Number one, take a look at the high of the nadir bar. Now the high of the nadir bar was breached from the high of 2 weeks ago, which alerts us that at the close of that bar, which in this case is the weekly bar, will be our setup bar. Now, I also see that not only do we have a setup bar, but we also have an engulfing bar. Now, in this scenario, I'm looking at the engulfing bar as a continuation pattern for this time around. Yes, typically the engulfing bar is a reversal, but this time I would be looking at a continuation unless the high of that setup bar is broken. And if that's the case, then by definition we would be in an uptrend, so then we would be buying. So if we look at, if we have last week's low broken, then I'm looking at the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even longer, of having more US dollar strength and be looking at price getting down from the level of where it's at right now of about 124.50 or so, getting down to about 122.50 and maybe even touching as low as $1.20. Now, as we all know, traders, they look at the longer term charts for confirmation and the shorter term charts for clarity as to what the market is doing. So make sure to be looking at the intraday levels to give you signals whether the weekly technical analysis is showing true or false signals. Because one of the most significant mistakes by traders is trying to be right or wrong. I don't want to be perfect. I just want to be on the side of probability. So the best way to be on the side of probability is to be willing to adapt to changing market conditions and then also following your trade setup. So just make sure that you're looking at clarity on the shorter term charts and then looking for that confirmation on the longer term charts. So let's move on to the euro dollar, the daily chart. Last Friday's bar, it did show up as a setup bar. And let me move this out of the way here. The charts are moving on me. Apologize for that. Um, Now, what I'm looking at from last Friday's bar, like I said, it did develop into our setup bar going into Sunday and Monday here in the States. So I will be looking to straddle last Friday's high and low and an entry on the setup bar. Now, it may take as long as Tuesday, just depending on the volatility of Sunday and Monday. But I would think that by Monday, price should be out of last Friday's trading range. And of course, when price does break out of last Friday's range, that we'll have more clarity as to what we see on the weekly charts. So here's what I'm looking at on the euro. If anyone has any questions, make sure to add your comments or make sure to add your questions to the comments below. And now moving on to the Australian dollar, US dollar. Now, a very similar situation to the euro. I'm noticing some potentially great signals for a continuation down to have the US dollar gain a little bit more strength on the Aussie. So here's what I see. Let's take a look at the weekly chart and notice that the previous nadir bar, its high was breached from the following weekly high. And another new high from 2 weeks ago, which is creating an up leg for a temporary correction on that downward movement. Now, in addition to the up leg, it also created an engulfing bar. Now, just like the euro, in this situation, I'll say that this engulfing bar is a continuation, not a reversal signal like it typically shows on charts. So over the next 5 days on the Aussie US dollar, I think it's going to be important to continue looking at lower time frames for good quality setups. And I think reaching the price of 82 and a half cents, or a price of 0.8250 wouldn't be unrealistic. But if price cannot break last week's low, then I think we could see a lot of consolidation around the 85-cent level or the 0.8500 level. And if that's the case, then it might be best to stay away from the Aussie US dollar. But again, the first week of each month is typically has the most news. So I would think that price consolidation this week would be pretty unlikely. And as we take a look at the daily chart for the Aussie US dollar, last Thursday's daily bar is actually our setup bar. So meaning that last Friday's bar is the trigger bar. So I will be looking for smaller intraday moves on the 4-hour, the 1-hour, and also the 15-minute charts, while I'm keeping my eye on last Friday's range to create a new range for this week. So this week, I think, is going to be a great week for some excellent profits. I'll be making some daily videos to point out the intraday moves, and then getting those moves onto videos over to the members area. But I'm also going to make a few videos so that everyone on YouTube can check out what's going on also. But hey, thanks for watching. And if you have any suggestions on any of the currency pairs and what you want to know about them, go ahead and put a comment down below and let me know what currency pairs you want to check out. We can check them out, and then we'll make a video on them. So appreciate it. Thanks, and make it a great day.